Yes.
Mic check. 1, 2, 3.
The meeting to order. I want to announce that some committee members, staff, and the public are attending remotely via Zoom as well as on site. All participants joining by phone should mute their phones when not speaking to avoid background noise. During the meeting, please make sure that you announce yourself by name and title every time you speak so the public that is observing knows who is speaking. When speaking, be sure to speak directly into a microphone so that all comments are heard and the record of the meeting is accurate. This is critical given the number of remote participants and is the current guidance from the Kansas Attorney General. The public is allowed to participate by Zoom or submit comments by email prior to the meeting, and those comments will be included in the record of this meeting. The public may also indicate their intent to provide remote public comment by contacting the clerk's office by noon on the day of the meeting. The public also may have an opportunity to provide brief comments either by telephone or via Zoom from the fifth floor conference room of the municipal office building. During the meeting, please make sure that you announce yourself by name and title every time you speak so the public that is observing knows who is speaking. This is critical given the number of remote participants and is the current guidance from the Kansas Attorney General. If public comments are allowed on an agenda item, comments should be limited to the topic of that item. Disruptive comments and behavior are not permitted and may result in removal from the meeting. I will now call the meeting of the Public Works and Safety Standing Committee for Monday, November 17th, 2025 to order. I'd ask the clerk to please call roll.
Roll call. Gonzalez. Lopez.
Here.
Burns.
Here.
Stites. Kane.
Here.
Burrows.
Here. Thank you, committee. Thank you, Madam Clerk. First order of business is the approval of the minutes from our meetings of September 23rd, October 28th, and November 18th, as well as December 16th of 2024. Is there any questions? Any questions in reference to the minutes? If none, I'd entertain a motion for approval.
Move for approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of September 23rd, October 28th, November 18th, and December 16th of 2024. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Roll call. Lopez.
Here. Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Stites. Kane.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Motion is 5-0. Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Committee, thank you. Committee, tonight we have 3 items, and they're all action items. The first item up this evening is a resolution. It's a fiscal year 2026 DHS FEMA Counter Unmanned Aircraft Systems Grant Program, and it was added to the agenda. And with that, I will ask our representative from the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department. I see Chief Oakman was to be here, but he was who I had on the agenda. But please introduce yourself, and you have the committee's attention.
Kevin Fithian with KCKPD, captain over the Real-Time Crime Center. You just want a quick rundown of the system?
Yes, and to make sure that your microphone is on and that you're speaking into the microphone so that staff can record it, please.
Okay. KCK was notified of a grant opportunity about 2 weeks ago. It is for Counter Unmanned Aircraft Systems Grant for fiscal year 26. The grant is limited to 11 states in the National Capital Region directly or indirectly hosting FIFA World Cup events, and the in total grant is for $250 million. The grant will allow the purchase of detection, identifying, monitoring, tracking, and mitigation technologies to support public safety officials in the protection of the public and critical infrastructure from nefarious or unlawful use of UAS. KCK-PD is still in the process of determining the exact scope of said technologies to accomplish this goal, but a preliminary plan involves a multi-layer protection systems focused on the Legends area, downtown KCK, but we also have provisions to provide at least a basic level of detection for most of the county. KCK PD is also asking for a mobile component, which will allow deployment at sites of special concern or events. We do not have an exact amount that we are asking for at the moment, but so far preliminarily, it seems that we're going to be asking somewhere in the area of $5 million for the systems. The grant itself is actually awarded to the state administrative authority for each state, which for the state of Kansas is KHP, Kansas Highway Patrol, and then they pass the award through to the subrecipients, which would be us. We have to submit our application by the 24th of November so that they can then take all the subrecipients in the state of Kansas and submit to DHS by December 5th. DHS is anticipating announcing awards by January of 2026 to allow for the systems to be purchased and deployed before the beginning of the World Cup in June. Casey Meyer, Senior Legal Counsel from the Legal Department, has reviewed the grant and its conditions. She has determined that we are currently in compliance and are able to maintain compliance with those conditions over the timeframe of the grant because of the recent resolution passed by the Commission in regards to not operating any programs that advance or promote DEI, DEIA, or discriminatory equity ideology in violation of federal anti-discrimination laws. Sporting Kansas City is also aware of this grant, and they are our primary host site. They are fully in support of us applying for this, and they're actually going to be writing a support letter to submit with the grant as well. There is no match required of this grant. The grant period is for approximately 3.5 years, running from July 4th, 2025 to September 30th, 2028. As such, the city and the county will, if awarded this grant, will receive CUAS systems for multiple years and not just for the World Cup, which would allow KCK-PD to further enhance the safety and security of the city for multiple years. As respectfully, we request that this be approved.
Any questions? Commissioner Stites?
Stites District 7. So when you say that it is city and county, so I'm assuming that the sheriff's department is also involved, and then also the other two cities that are within Wyandotte County, Bonner Springs and Edwardsville, they're on board and probably would submit support letters.
I haven't spoken to them because we are working through this as quickly as possible, but I would assume that they would support it as well. A component of the grant is interoperability among the agencies around. So I'm sure we would have no problem working with other area agencies to make that happen.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes, sir. So is this, Is this software just to look for drones, or is this a drone?
It is not a drone. It is software and hardware that detects drones, either from the signal that they're emitting or with a small radar detection. So it's designed to detect any and all drones that are flying in a specific area.
Okay, so in other words, that whole area is basically a no-fly zone of drones. Is that what you're saying too?
It doesn't make it it just detects and identifies.
No, I get that part. I totally understand that part. Okay.
But yes, it is designed that everything around the Legends and downtown and most of the city/county would have some form of hardware that is capable of detecting
Right.
drones flying in that
I
airspace.
got you. So, and you said the project period will span from July 4th of this year, that months ago. And you guys are just now finding out about this grant, or is this a different project?
This, my understanding is this grant was funded through the big beautiful bill that the federal government passed. And I think that's why it started at that date. But the state of Kansas and KHP specifically didn't know all about this until approximately 2 weeks ago.
That's interesting. All right, thank you.
Any other questions from the commission? Seeing none, so the money flows in from the Department of Homeland Security and FEMA to the state. The Kansas Highway Patrol will then make the determination through the grant process, approval process, and that's when they'll decide how much we get out of the $5 million ask that we're presenting forward. Is that my understanding?
That is my understanding of the process. Yes, sir.
Great, thank you. And I believe it's an 80-20, not an 80-20 match. It's 80% for public safety, 20% for training.
There's a little bit of contradiction. The grant actually says that 97% of the money must flow through to subrecipients, but the state administrative authority has the option to request 20% for their own purposes and 80% flow through. So I don't quite understand how that works, but most of it does have to flow through to the subrecipients.
The good news is there's no match. And so at this time, if there's no other, Commissioner Stites.
Stites District 7 again, and I just want to kind of piggyback on what Commissioner Lopez was referring to. In no way at all does this restrict anybody that is has FAA Part 107 certificate to fly unmanned drones, and also no-fly zones. If you're currently flying a drone for work or pleasure, you're still able to do that.
It's my understanding that we don't necessarily have the authority to even take a drone down. That's the federal government's authority.
Okay.
So for us, this is for detection and identification of threats, and any type of authority that would take, interfere with the ability to fly a drone is going to have to come from the federal government side. They might utilize the equipment that we have, but my understanding is we don't have the authority to do so.
Thank you.
Commissioner Burns.
Since you were only notified 2 weeks ago, Bridget, is this on a fast track for our next meeting?
Yes, I was going to ask, Mr. Chair, due to the timeline, the ask is that it is approved and it's fast-tracked to Thursday's full commission meeting.
Thursday.
Correct.
And thank you, Commissioner Burns. I was contacted and requested, I did talk with the chief in reference to not only blue sheeting this for this evening, but also to fast track it to full commission for Thursday's meeting. And I did give that approval because it's an important aspect for the police department and FIFA. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk, were there any comments received from the public?
No comments were received.
Thank you. Is there anyone online from the public that wishes to make comment or speak to this item?
There are no hands raised online.
Thank you. Is there anyone appearing in person who would like to address this item? Let the record show no one stepped forward. Committee, I would now entertain a motion to approve the resolution fiscal year 2026 DHS FEMA Counter Unmanned Aircraft Systems Grant.
Right, so moved, and to also fast track it to the full commission on November 27th.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Roll call. Lopez,
Aye.
I just want to clarify, this is Z Bishop with the UG Legal Department. Commissioner Stites, could you say the date of the full commission meeting again that you were intending this to be fast-tracked to? Should be the 20th, I believe. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Second.
I'm amend mine a second.
We have a motion and a second to advance this to full commission Thursday, November 20th. Great. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Roll call. Lopez,
Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Stites, Kane,
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Vote is 5-0. Motion carries.
Thank you, committee. Thank you. Good luck. As our speakers get seated, committee, the next item for discussion is another resolution. It's interlocal agreements with the city of Edwardsville, Kansas for the solid waste services. And I believe that I will recognize Troy Shaw as well as Ms. Diane. So at your leisure, the committee's yours.
All right, Troy Shaw, Public Works Director. I'm going to turn this over to Diana Miles, who's our solid waste manager, and she will go through it.
Good evening, Diana Miles, Solid Waste Manager. We're here to request approval for the resolution for the interlocal agreement with the city of Edwardsville. This agreement ensures that Edwardsville residents would
Can't hear you.
Start all over.
Okay. Diana Miles, Solid Waste Manager. We're here to request approval for the resolution for the interlocal agreement with the city of Edwardsville. This agreement ensures that the residents from Edwardsville contribute to the cost services they utilize, such as HHW, the Recycle and Yard Waste Center, and dumpster days. Under this agreement, our division would track the number of residents from Edwardsville that utilize the service. At the end of the year, we would invoice the city of Edwardsville. So this would, the fee would match what KCK residents currently pay. So for 2025, the fee would be about $2.97. And interlocal will help maintain fairness and cost sharing, and it'll also allow us to move forward. The city of Edwardsville did approve this in September.
Committee, any questions? Commissioner Burns?
So they've never been part of this, Edwardsville?
Edwardsville has not, no.
Were they getting services from Kansas City?
Yes.
Was there any thought about charging them retroactive?
We have not. When we did the cost of service study in 2023, this is when it came up, and we've been working with the city of Edwardsville since then.
So how long have they gotten the free service?
Forever. They've always had this service at no charge.
What's always?
Um,
Year was?
Yeah, before my time. Mhm.
That's interesting. And what about, we haven't got the Bonner yet?
No, that's the next item.
Okay.
If it would please the committee, we can talk about both because we have both conferees here. So if you want to talk about the Bonner Springs one simultaneously, probably be best so we don't have to repeat the questions. So if you have a Bonner Springs questions, please, by all means, feel free to ask.
I understand that Bonner Springs did contribute at one point and then they quit contributing.
Yes, that's correct.
Do you know why?
I think at that time, this was at the time, this was before I was the solid waste manager. The city of Bonner believed that it should be funded through county funds, but this is not a city or county funded program. It is an enterprise funded program. So it's funded by the ratepayers every month. KCK residents paid on their trash, for their trash bill, on their BPU bill.
So they were partially subsidized It's like Edwardsville was.
So in 2023, they were paying an admin fee and some fees for the services. The city did stop paying a couple of years ago, and since then, we've worked with the city to work that out again with an agreement with the new city manager.
Well, we're supposed to be good stewards of the taxpayers, and I just want to make sure everybody pays their fair share. And they should have.
I think we will agree with that, and that's the intent of this agreement, so.
And I know a lot of you weren't even here when it went on, so I was just curious.
Commissioner Stice, did you have your hand up? Oh.
No, I was just going to piggyback on it and say that I agree moving forward. I mean, I'm glad that we've got this nailed down and that it's solidified in a contract and we know everywhere. I know as an Edwardsville resident, it was very unclear, and I grew up there, still live there. My mom and dad lived there, my brothers, and it was assumed that that was in the county, absorbed into the county that we pay in our county property taxes. So I'm glad that it's getting addressed now and where everybody's clear, and moving forward, it will be addressed properly. Thank you.
Any other questions? The only question I would have, does this lower the overall cost to the entire ratepayers? Being there will be more money coming in. I believe we raised the budget this last time by $1 something. Will that assist in raising the money, lowering it for next year?
Not necessarily, but we are looking into that. With the changes, we are revising the cost of service study that we did 2 years ago. So we're currently working on that.
Will they also receive the containers that the contract was agreed upon in reference to the ratepayers in Wyandotte County, the new trash containers
For Edwardsville and Bonner,
for Edwardsville and
they have their own contracts. So Bonner contracts with Waste Management and
This is
no,
no? Okay.
no.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Chuck. Any other comments from the commission? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk if there was any comments received from the public.
No comments were received.
Is there anyone online who would wish to speak, make a comment?
There are no hands raised online.
Thank you. Is there anyone appearing in person who would like to address this item, both either Edwardsville or Bonner Springs? Let the record show no one stepped forward. Committee, I will entertain a motion, but I need to do them separately. One for Edwardsville and one for Bonner Springs. So I would entertain a motion for Edwardsville.
so move.
Second.
Does this need to be, there's no need for this to be fast tracked, right? I didn't know if we were trying to get Edwardsville and Bonner to be paying immediately. If it could wait a week.
It could wait till next month.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second to approve the Edwardsville agreement, interlocal agreement.
Roll call, Lopez,
Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Stites, Kane,
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
The vote is 5-0. Motion carries.
Thank you. Committee, that takes us to 4.3, the Bonner Springs interlocal agreement. If there's not any questions, I'd entertain a motion for approval.
Second.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution, the interlocal agreement with the city of Bonner Springs for solid waste services. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Roll call, Lopez,
Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Stites, Kane,
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
The vote is 5-0. Motion carries.
Thank you. Committee, that takes us to the end of our agenda. Troy, Diana, thank you so much for being here. Public, please stick around. We're going to take a little bit of a recess, and then you will have the Administration and Human Resources Standing Committee soon as we relinquish and adjourn from the Public Works Committee. Committee, I just want to thank you. It's been my privilege to serve as your chair the last couple of years. Staff, thank you for your stick-to-itiveness. Madam Clerk, you're always on point, keeping us organized. And to the public, thank you for the honor to serve each and every one of you in this room and those in the community. With that, happy holidays and thank you. I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
First of all, I'd like to thank you, Tom, for all you've done. You were always on top of everything. You were always well-informed, and I appreciate the way that you did everything.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second, and I appreciate you too, sir.
We have a motion to adjourn and a second. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Roll call. Lopez.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Stites. Kane.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
The vote is 5-0. Motion carries.
Thank you. We are adjourned.
I'm sitting in forever. We need a quorum, so.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Tom, see you. Yeah.
If there is anyone here in the audience that is here to speak about the residency item and you want to sign in, you have not previously signed in, you have not previously submitted comments, you'll need to come up and make sure your name is on the list. Please know that the item may or may not be continued. If you previously submitted comments from the October 27th meeting, those comments are part of the record. You will not be able to address the committee again. Is there anyone else here in the audience that wishes to sign in to speak? Again, if you have previously submitted comments or you spoke at last month's meeting, you will not be able to address the commission again. Last call. Okay.
Administrator Cobbins, are we ready? Bridget? Administrator, are we ready? Okay. Monica, are we ready? Okay, very good. Thank you all. Good evening. We are going to call Administration and Human Services Standing Committee for November 17 to order in just a moment. Before I call the meeting to order, I do want to announce that some committee members, staff, and public are attending remotely by Zoom, as well as some on site. If you're joining virtually, please mute your devices so you're when you're not speaking, to avoid any background noise, and make sure you announce yourself by name and title when you speak so that the public observing knows who's speaking, and be sure and speak directly into a microphone so that all the comments can be heard. That makes sure that the record of the meeting is accurate. The public's allowed to participate by Zoom or submit comments by email prior to the meeting, and those are included in the record of the meeting. And you may also indicate your intent to provide remote public comment by contacting the clerk's office by noon on the day prior to the meeting. The public also has the opportunity to provide comments by Zoom or here in the fifth floor conference room of the municipal office building. And again, we ask that you announce yourself by name and title when you speak so that the public knows who's speaking. If public comments are allowed on an agenda item, comments should be limited to the topic of the item. Disruptive comments and behavior are not permitted and may result in removal from the meeting. I want to thank Commissioner Bill Burns for standing in for Commissioner Hill, who usually serves on this committee while she's still out on bereavement. And I will now call the meeting of Administration and Human Services Standing Committee for Monday, September 17, 2025 to order, and ask our clerk to call the roll, please.
Roll call. Hill, we have an absence memo. Davis,
Here.
Ramirez, Kane,
Here.
Bynum,
Here.
Burns substituting for Hill.
Here.
Thank you. I would also point out that Commissioner Stites is here. He's more than welcome to participate. He's more of an observer at the meeting and doesn't have a vote, but certainly has the right to participate in the meeting. Thank you. Clerk, are there any revisions for our meeting tonight? Actually, I have a revision. I apologize. Item 4.1 is a resolution of adherence to rules of procedure and civil engagement. We're going to move that item to the last item. So we have a total of 3 items, and that will now be the last item on the agenda. Clerk. Thank you. We have minutes from September 23 and October 28, 2024. Could we have a motion for approval of those minutes?
Davis, so moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Davis,
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Vote is 4-0, motion carries.
Thank you very much. That takes us to item 4.2, which is the ordinance or resolution repealing or suspending enforcement of certain sections of the Unified Government Code of Ordinances. This is an item about the UG Human Resources Guide, and we've heard this now, I think one time at standing committee. I want to make a comment or a statement right up at the front of the item. The residency issue obviously is a matter of long lasting and critical importance to our unified government as well as the community. I believe we have a committee member who would like to make a motion prior to hearing the HR presentation and the comments. If Commissioner Kane.
Yep. I move to hold this item over for the next Administrative Human Service Committee, January 26, 26. We are getting ready to change administration, and I don't think it's right to vote on such a monumental item just prior to the new administration coming in.
There's a motion, and I'll make a comment real quick. I would concur that I believe the new mayor and commissioners should have a voice in the issue. And I think the comments and written comments that have been received and shared, as well as those that we would hear tonight, should be shared with the incoming administration and governing body. I would ask if there's a second to this motion.
Second.
So the motion is to hold this to the next Administration and Human Services Standing Committee, which will occur in January of 2026, at which time we will have a new mayor and 3 new commissioners sitting on the dais. And there is a second to that motion. It's important that you understand that if you make your comments to us tonight and we hold it to the January meeting, then you would just be repeating yourself at that time. So we're going to 3 new commissioners and a mayor, and there's no public comment at this time. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Davis,
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
The vote is 4-0. Motion carries.
So the item's held till January.
Go on, Chuck.
Bye.
Go cry.
Item 4.3, which I'll give us just a minute for those who want to leave. We'll get started on our next item here in just a moment. Okay, we'll get moving to our next item. We have heard this item now 2 or 3 times, amending levy of transient guest tax. I'm going to recognize Wendy Green from legal with the presentation and remarks, and we'll take up the item that we've heard now several times at both standing committee and full commission. Thank you, Council Green.
Thank you, Wendy Green, Deputy Chief Counsel. So the changes I made were sparked from the conversation that was had and discussion that was had at the last discussion in front of the full commission. So right now, and this is going to need clarification, it's 3% of the receipts derived to parks for capital improvement projects, 3% of the receipts derived to the Convention and Visitors, KCK Convention and Visitors Bureau, excuse me, and the remaining receipts derived from the tax will be placed in the Convention and Tourism Fund. So there is a distinction on whether you want 3% of the receipts derived from the tax or if you want 3% of the tax generated, if that makes sense. And there is a big distinction as to the amount of funds that would be. So if it's 3% of the tax, it would be 3%, it would be 3% of that tax is parks, 3% of that tax goes to Visit KCK, and then the remaining, I can't math right now, but the remaining percentage goes to that tourism fund that we have within our funds, the Convention and Tourism Fund. And it would be distributed how we always distribute the TGT funds through the promotion of tourism, economic development projects that are directly related to tourism. But that would be more funds directed to those things than if it was 3% of the receipts generated from the tax. So let's say you have over $1 million, and I'm using whole numbers and I don't even know what the actual numbers are, but if it was $1 million that is generated in TGT money each year from the tax, if it was just 3% of that receipts, it would only be 3% of 1 million that would go to parks. 3% of that million would go to the Visit Kansas City, Visit KCK, which is a lot less than what they get right now per their contract. So, but if it was 3% of the tax, that would actually generate more for each of those. So if you would rather it be 3% of the tax, then I will change the language from what it is right now.
I see. So, and I believe from our discussions that we've had to date, our intention is, number one, to help fund capital improvements in parks, which we've said since August, but also increase the amount available to Visit KCK because of the heavy load that they lift in promoting tourism in Wyandotte County, KCK. So based on your explanation, which one was the higher amount I've already?
It would be 3% of the actual tax, not 3% of the receipts. So I can change that language
just
when it
need
goes
to
to the next
know
level.
From the committee, if you concur, Commissioner Davis?
Yeah, I would say 3% of the tax. And does this have the change of the actual TGT rate in the language?
It does. That's in section 2.
So in other words, Commissioner, the change of the rate to
10%.
guest tax rate to 10%,
Yep,
2-year sunset,
yep.
a little bit more than 2 years, 2.5,
Yeah, but that makes,
based on the dates.
but that's given when this becomes operational for the state to collect. And I think that's the kind of the
Right.
lag.
Correct, because it would not become operational until April 1 of 2026, just due to the timing, because it's a charter ordinance, which has to allow extra time for it to become effective, as well as we have to provide the notice to the Kansas Department of Revenue, and they don't allow, typically, they don't have new tax rates go into effect until the quarters.
Chair, if I may also just inquire. So in colleagues, if you all recall in our meeting, kind of two kind of hesitations came up from the conversation. One was the rate, and I think 10% at least. So I'm good with 10% in the 3 and 3. The other question, and I don't know what my colleagues feel about this, was whether or not we should specify what capital improvements or specific capital projects that would be included, or whether it would be kind of what it is right now, a blank statement of capital projects. I have some projects in mind. I also have some reservations on tying our department's hands on specific projects. I don't necessarily have, particularly when it comes to our parks department, a fear of mismanagement or misuse of dollars. I've seen nothing but the opposite of that. And so that's where I'm at. I'm comfortable with where this language is, but I did want to be fair to our colleagues about those reservations that were brought up. Thank you, Chair.
I think Parks has a full list of capital projects that are needed, and probably those are prioritized. Director Ferrara, would you like to step forward to the microphone and talk with us a little bit about this?
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. Angel Ferrara, Director for Parks and Rec. So I can really appreciate your comments, Commissioner Davis. And yes, we do have a full list of capital projects. And we, as you know, always bring our capital projects before the commission every year during the budget process. So you actually get to see what that looks like, and you do have the final say on what gets approved. So there also is that process kind of built in. I will say, I think if we were to maybe build some of those projects in, I would just be a little hesitant knowing that things can change, prices can change. So I wouldn't want to overpromise and then maybe underdeliver, or things don't, come in at budget as we expected. I know it's only 2 years, but still, like Commissioner Davis said, we've been really good about spending our dollars and having projects come in on budget and on time. But happy to, if that is what the commissioners would want to see, we could definitely sketch out a plan that looks like that. But also, I think just knowing that all of our projects that we do submit into capital go before you all through the budget process, there's that nice layer of security, and we can really talk through, okay, this is maybe what's being funded through those TGT dollars, and these would be the projects that you could expect to be executed.
Thank you. I was thinking, the same thing along those same lines, that as we work in capital maintenance during the budget process, as you're bringing those projects forward through your part of that budget, you could identify maybe which of those could be funded through this portion of the transient guest tax. Just a side note, if you don't mind, the rock wall at Wyandotte County Lake that has failed, I think you've given me a price tag on that in the past. Do you know it offhand?
Yeah, so an update on that. It's been a while. We actually did put it out for bid. So we did have 4, it's still an active process. So we have some proposals we're reviewing. Our department has $824,000 budgeted for that project. And we are expected to hopefully be in budget on that if all goes well. So about $824,000 is probably what it's looking like.
Thank you. So ridiculously expensive.
Yes, unfortunately, for a retaining wall.
Right. Thank you very much. Other questions for Director Ferrara while we have her? Okay, thank you very much. Commissioner Davis.
I do have a question, not necessarily for you, Director, but for legal. So we do have a contract with Visit KCK, which also came up during our conversation. How does that interact with what we are going to pass now?
So we would have to renegotiate that contract. And I believe when we were at the commission meeting, Mr. Carr did say that they would enter in good faith renegotiations with that contract for 2026. It does stay in effect until the end of 2026. So we would need to definitely do something for 2026. Otherwise, they would get paid a portion of the TGT as well as their contract rate for 2026. And I do not believe we should refer to a third-party contract in our charter ordinance, I believe that we should negotiate with them in good faith instead to exit out of that contract and instead, or do an amendment to that contract to where their rate would be based off of the TGT rather than what we had agreed to pay them for as part of that contract, right? As he said, most visitors bureau, convention bureaus are paid through a TGT instead of the flat rate that we're paying them right now. So I don't really see that being a problem.
Just thinking about this, we think about COVID or other situations that have taken place where the travel industry is very much challenged and maybe we don't generate that level of revenue. It's fine if we can't do those capital projects, have to delay them. I do, and I'm sure we can address this in the contract. And if we need to put something in the charter ordinance, please do advise us. But I would still want some sort of something to make sure that if there was a down year, we wouldn't just basically tell our visitors bureau, you wouldn't get paid for that down year, if that makes sense. I don't know how my colleagues feel about that.
That could be something that we do within that contract itself. Because this does say that whatever doesn't go to parks, whatever doesn't go directly to the Convention and Visitors Bureau goes into the Convention and Tourism Fund.
Right.
So we could make sure that there was something in that contract if that's something that they wanted to make sure of too. So we would look into that when we renegotiate the contract. Also, I do want to note that before the prior iterations of this charter ordinance had all of it sunsetting, but I noted the last time that it didn't sound like that's what you all wanted. So this version only has that 10% sunsetting after the 2 years. So the different percentages going to parks and to CVB, those stay.
Those would remain.
Those would remain.
Only the percentage would sunset.
Correct. It would go back to 8%.
That I believe is our intent. Commissioner Burns, did you have a comment?
No, I just agreed with Angela that, don't tie yourself down to the projects. We could have a real bad winter and, a lot of stuff in your parks could get destroyed and you'd have to renew those. There's no reason not to prioritize them with the option with your park board to, have a caveat that you could also change that. So you don't tie yourself down to one thing that, you may have to change. So, but I think our commission depends on you and your park board to do the right thing. You always have. And if you don't, we'll tell you. No, you did a great job, you and the Parks Board. Very proud of you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions from the committee members? I'll ask our clerk if there were any comments received from the public on the item.
No comments were received.
And is there anyone online wishing to make a comment on the item?
There are no hands raised online.
Is there anyone here in person that would like to? You can come forward and give your name and city of residence, and you'll have 3 minutes, please. And make sure you turn that on and speak into it so we can hear you. Thanks.
That work?
Yes, thank you.
Sessions, KCK. I just got a quick question. I didn't know if there's a projection that you guys can see and hear to yourself, because this is based on obviously current sales, that you guys could understand, or the public can understand also what kind of revenue will be generated by this?
Okay. I was trying to make sure I
Sorry.
understood. Revenue projection.
Yeah,
for
something that you guys in the public and also Parks Department and Visit KCK and everybody can see
Yes.
what kind of revenue would be produced by this.
We have had that, and let me look quickly in the packet to see if it's here now.
I didn't see it when I looked.
I didn't include it in this version of the packet, no. It would have been in the last commission meeting when
Didn't
we,
bring that packet.
no, either.
But yes, we definitely have had that.
Okay, I just
And-
I haven't seen it. I didn't, but that's not.
It's okay. We'll go back and find it because I think it's a good point and we'll try to make sure that the public understands from this to this equals this much money, we think,
Yeah, for sure.
based on prior year collections,
Perfect. That's,
which I think is the question you're asking.
yeah, correct. I mean, Parks have done such a good job with the capital we've given them. So I think that if that number can be put out that they should expect this kind
Right,
of
right.
revenue, then we can see where it goes.
Okay. Can I ask, Wendy, will you be able to reach back out to the prior presentation and send that to me tomorrow?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and then I can send it to you. Thank you. Anyone else want to step forward to the microphone?
Commissioner Bynum,
Yes.
we have Dr. Shelley Kneven online with her hands
Thank
raised.
you. Shelley, Dr. Kneven, thank you.
Hello.
Might
can
have
you-
your answer right now.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so currently at the 8%, the annual receipts are about 4.9 million. And every 1% is going to raise another 620,000. So when it goes up 2% total, it'll be an additional 1.2 million. And then as far as the amount that parks could expect to receive, given the clarification tonight, it would be at the 6% or I'm sorry, at the 8%, which it is now, they would get $1.88 million. And then they'll get an additional portion of that incremental increase. So 2 seconds and I'll have that number for you. I just have to add them up. Okay, so the total that will be coming in at the 10% based on our estimates is 6.2%. I mean, 6.2 million. My apologies. And then they will get about $2.3 million, almost 2.4. Because 3% of the tax ends up being about 38%, if that makes sense. That's why we needed to clarify, do you want it to be how much money we collect or how much taxes we levy? And just as a clarification, in the budget, if you were to pull out the budget book, the park department projects that in particular were related to the World Cup were included. And so they have identified a few of those projects, but we'll do a recalculation of what these revenues would be. And then if there's additional revenues, then they could provide an information item back to the commission to say, okay, we want to do project X, Y, or Z as well. So some of those projects have been identified because they were related to the World Cup. And I know they're anxious to get started on bidding and construction and so forth. So I hope that helps.
Dr. Kneven, I want to track the math with you. I think you just told us that at 10% projected collections would be 6.2 million.
Correct.
Parks at 3% would be
It should be 30%, sorry. It would be, yes, so go ahead, I'm sorry,
roughly
Commissioner.
2.3 million, which means Visit KCK at 3% would also be roughly 2.3 million, leaving 1.6 million into the fund.
That's correct, but just
Okay.
one quick second, I want to make sure my math's right because I
Okay.
think I was doing it off of current because I wasn't sure if you guys were going to do 2% or 3%. So I did my math earlier on current collections, but if you do the 2%, then parks would be getting 3 of the pennies divided by 10 of the pennies, so 30%. So of the 6.2, it's about $1,000,008 times 30% is how much they would be getting, $1,000,086. And yes, the way it's written with the clarification, the Visitors Bureau would get the same amount. And they are currently getting right at $1,050,000. And that was why I think Wendy was pointing out, so long as that's not your intention, is to pay them the $1,000,008 plus the million, then we would need to make sure that a contract lines up with that for 26.
Thank
But
you.
they would be
That's,
getting more money, and they'd be getting the same amount as parks, which was one of the other comments that was raised at the full commission, is
correct.
they felt like they should get at least the same amount.
Okay. Is that clear to all involved? Thank you. Okay. Any other comments from the public? Okay. Then with that being said, I would entertain a motion on the item.
Kane, move for approval.
This is Wendy, Deputy Chief Counsel. I would only ask that the motion to approve would reference that approval with the change in language so that the percentages would be a percent of the tax and not of the receipts. Please.
Commissioner Kane.
However she just said that, I'll take it.
Thank you. Within the agenda packet, the proposed ordinance change states 3% of the receipts, and we would just change that to 3% of the tax. Would that be your motion?
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion.
I'll second that motion with the same understanding that legal laid out. That's 3% of the tax.
Okay, thank you very much. Roll call.
Roll call. Davis,
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
The vote is 4-0. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. We will circle back to original item 4.1, a resolution for adherence to rules of procedure and civil engagement. And I don't know if Commissioner Ramirez has been able to join us yet.
I don't see him online yet, Commissioner.
Thank you. I did want to bring forward that this is an item that Commissioner Ramirez had requested be worked up and brought forward to this committee. Also, I would remind the committee, as well as all of our commission members, that we did receive a memo from the Legislative Auditor's Office in September regarding decorum in our meetings and, basically reminding us that we are trying to maintain order, civility, and professionalism, and that responsibility does reside squarely with the Board of Commissioners. And the memo was acting, in my opinion, at that time, as a reminder to us that it is our job to act in that way. And I think from there is where Commissioner Ramirez was taking his desire to bring this resolution forward. Is there, either council, anything more that we need to say on this item? I feel so bad that he hasn't been able to join online yet.
This is Wendy Green, Deputy Chief Counsel. I believe you're correct, Commissioner Bynum. I know he came to me with a rough draft with this idea, and I simply reviewed it as we are required to do in the legal department, as all resolutions and ordinances must come out of our office. So I reviewed it for him and helped him with some language. So I believe that's where this was coming from for Commissioner Ramirez.
Any comments from our committee? Any, clerk, have we received any comments from the public?
No comments were received.
And does anyone online have their hand up to speak?
There are no hands raised online.
Is there anyone here in person that would like to speak to the item? Seeing none, I would take a motion to approve the item.
Davis moves to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the item. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Davis,
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
The vote is 4-0. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. And we will thank Commissioner Ramirez when we see him for bringing it forward. That's all the items we have on our agenda tonight. So that will conclude our meeting and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Davis,
Adjourn.
Davis second.
Roll call, please.
Roll call. Davis,
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burns. Burns.
Oh, aye.
The vote is 4-0. Motion carries.
Motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank you again, Commissioner Burns.